David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, and this is Coffee and Wisdom Summer Style when we're meeting live at 9 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The topic for this week is exercise is good for the, well, let's look at some other aspects. Yeah, we know that getting out there and walking around is good for you, but let's think about some other ways to exercise. Marcus Aurelius said, do external things distract you? Then make time for yourself to learn something worthwhile. Stop letting yourself be pulled in all directions. The Stoics were very much about practicing writing, journaling, we would call it nowadays, and also reading every day to sharpen that brain. Another Roman, Pliny the Elder, said nulla dies sine linea, which is not a day without a line. And that's one of the things that I have practiced for many, many years at this point, over 40 anyway. And just about every day I have written something, except under extreme circumstances like hospitalizations and those kinds of things. So never a day without a line. Franz Kafka wrote this, in the diary, you find proof that in situations which today would seem unbearable, you lived, looked around, and wrote down observations. So he gained strength from looking back on his journals, reflecting on the problems, challenges he had lived through and had talked about in those journals. And then he continued writing. And Kafka wrote every day in his journal, quite aside from writing his novels and short stories. Here is a matter of fact, a collection of Kafka's journals. You see that he would both do his scribbling and also do some artwork. Yeah, it's about as good as I draw there. But he was giving himself some inspiration and ideas very clearly. And those diaries and journals are now being looked through by scholars. They had been sealed for several years. This is Edith Sitwell. There's her journal, which is kind of big. Edith Sitwell was a British poet and general eccentric. And here's her nice journal that she works in. She also is famous for, and you will hear this story if you look at eccentric writers, for getting into an open coffin every morning to meditate before she started writing. This is probably not actually true, but we do have photographs of her laying on the floor, for example, clearly pretending to be dead. And here is she and her brothers also pretending to be dead. Yes, Edith had a macabre sort of sense of humor, but she wrote every day in her journal, and she gained inspiration from that memento mori that we've talked about with the Stoics. Truman Capote is sitting in his parlor with his favorite writing instruments. He used blank journal and then a wooden pencil, a number 2 pencil. And that's how Truman Capote preferred to do his writing, although with journalism, he would get into a typewriter because he died long before word processors. But he always had a daily routine in order to keep his writing going. So why write every day? It's a good question. The Stoics covered this, and I think it's still good advice today. And if you begin to do some web searches, you will discover a lot of people write every day as an exercise. Diary, journaling, notebooks, and that kind of thing. And I've just pulled a few pictures off the web of different kinds of journals that people sometimes use. I am partial to a wax canvas one that's very small, goes in the pocket, and it's just a cover and has reorderable blank pages inside. So it gets a little bit cheaper to keep writing. And then when it's done, you pull out this and try to file it somewhere you can find it again. But I love writing journals in general. One that I'm using right now is leather bound. has this kind of Gothic hook on it, and then nice handmade white paper. You'll hear a lot of writers talking about the kinds of ideas and what makes them want to write. But hey, why write every day? Well, one, it builds discipline. We all need a little more habit in our good habit in our lives instead of bad habit. It makes you smarter. That's one of the reasons the Stoics did it. Reflecting on the news, reflecting on new ideas, new discoveries, it just makes you smarter. You feel like you have accomplished something. So just like making your bed in the morning makes you feel more together, by golly, sitting down and writing does as well. It helps you find inspiration in everything. One of the practices of journal writing is to look around you and see what's actually happening. Is there a fly on the wall? Virginia Woolf, the great novelist, wrote an entire short story about watching a fly on her wall. Another reason to do it every day is it teaches you to fail. You don't have to be a Picasso every day. You don't have to be William Faulkner every day. You can just journal and then you're done with it. And it helps you to find your style. You develop a personal style by the more writing that you do. Another trick that many poets use, especially poets and some visual artists in journals, is to use your non-dominant hand. If you're right-handed, use that left hand and vice versa. We know that there are spheres of the brain, although that's sometimes exaggerated in popular psychology, but we do have these two spheres, and it does help integrate the brain to do some work with the non-dominant hand in writing. As a matter of fact, if you are an instrumentalist and need your fingers to be working on both hands when you play music, one way that this is improved is by using a non-dominant hand to write in order to get that two hemispheres of the brain together. It slows you down a little bit. How do you write every day? Well, one is to block out time at the same time every day. Another is to have a routine built on that same time, coffee, journal, favorite place you want to sit down. Another way is to use a writing prompt. And again, don't worry if it's not good. So block out some time. Marcus Aurelius wrote this about that. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? So you can remind yourself that Marcus Aurelius didn't like to get up early either, but he was stoic about it and went ahead and got up and wrote in his journal every day. And that is where his great book, The Meditations, comes from. How do you write every day? Another is to have a routine, coffee, a favorite journal, a favorite pen, perhaps a place that you can watch the sunrise or watch the birds come out to sing, something somewhere that tells you when you sit down, this is the place where I contemplate and write. So again, routine, coffee is one of those things a lot of us have to do. Marcus Aurelius also said this, the things you think about determine the quality of your mind. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts. That's why the Stoics believed in focusing, doing writing that would focus their energy and thoughts, and also reading philosophy, inspirational things in order to get those thoughts up to a higher level than just, oh, gee, I don't want to do this or that today. Another way to do it is to use a writing prompt. As I mentioned, a lot of writers try to describe what's around them. Some people don't like that. So what do? Well, you use a writing prompt, something that tells you how to do your subject. There are lots of these online. You can get lists of writing prompts. One that I think is fun from ServiceScape is Writing Prompt Generator, 1,000 fiction story ideas. And as you see, all you have to do is click on billionaires and romance, comedy and romance, contemporary romance, fantasy romance, Gothic, and it goes down to murder mysteries. And there's several different kinds of genres that you can choose from. And then when you click on that, by golly, I did it so you could see how it would work. This is writing prompt number 665. You are a werewolf slayer whose duty it is to protect humanity from the lichen horde. However, you never anticipated that your true love would become the one thing you were trained to kill. You didn't get to her in time, and she was bitten before you could intervene. Yet the law is the law. She must be slayed before she harms others. There is no chance of her changing back, but you just can't bring yourself to do it. Now you must protect the one, okay, and you get the idea. So take off, and you have a writing prompt, and you can write a fantasy romance. Well, at least 500 words of one on any morning. So finding a writing prompt is good. This is a bit more outlandish, but it's great fun. There are more serious ones like childhood experiences and that kind of thing to get you going in the morning. And again, if all you got to do is do a little web search and you'll find all kinds of these. So how do you write every day? Also, don't worry if it's good. You're not getting a Pulitzer Prize for what you write in your journal. That's just probably not going to happen. And the Nobel Prize is even more remote. Don't worry about it. Just get out there and begin to scribble. And again, that improves those writing muscles if you do it every day as a discipline, as a mental exercise. Again, Pliny the Elder, I think, said it well, nulla dies sine linea, not a day without a line. Our subject for this month of June, winding down now, is play. And here is to remind you about the brilliant things that play can do for you. Tom Robbins, speaking of novelists, humanity has advanced when it has advanced, not because it has been sober, responsible, and cautious, but because it has been playful, rebellious, and immature. So go out today, do some writing, and don't forget to be playful, rebellious, and immature. That's it for today. I'll be back on Thursday to talk a little bit more about exercises beyond just running on your treadmill. Thank you, and I'll see you on Thursday.